Welcome back to another episode of Straight Shooting Sports Talk, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland. Well, the NHRA and ESPN will be experimenting with live coverage starting this year, and for the first time, it will be debuted in April at the NHRA Spring Nationals at the Royal Purple Raceway. Now, this live coverage will encompass qualifying and the final eliminations. But the funny thing is that ESPN can't seem to get us on the air on time in a tape delay race. I don't know about you, but I've sat here many a night waiting for it to come on, 5, 6 o'clock, primetime slot, and yet I'm waiting for women's college basketball to conclude. Or I'm waiting for a rerun of World Series of Poker to conclude. Now, this is all fine and good, and I am happy as a race fan to be able to see some kind of live coverage, and it's very difficult. I'm interested to see how this is going to play out for the simple fact that we can't start on time with tape delay, so what makes you think you can start on time with live coverage? That's one. Two, what happens when we have the infamous low-budget guy who can't seem to keep the oil in his engine? It's the third or fourth qualifying session, and homeboy's going to let it rip and grenade one right at the end of the track or at the beginning of the track, and he's going to drag it all the way down the quarter mile. Now we got an oil down, and this could take 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. So what are we going to do in that instance? Is ESPN going to give us more time? Are they going to extend the coverage and give us a little bit more time like they give NASCAR? I understand it's a little bit different, horse there, but they have wrecks and they run over all the time, and they continue to go on and run into other people's programs, NHRA tape delay coverage. So I'm excited, but I'm really interested to see how this is going to work. ESPN, you had this gig for a while now. It's time for you to step your game up and live up to your obligations, which, quite frankly, over the last couple of years, you have not done. Thank you, but let's get something going here. Time for you to start putting it up or shutting it up right now. Because if you don't get it done this year, time for the NHRA to start looking for another venue. Well, in other NHRA news, Don Schumacher, that weasel, actually has a heart. Earlier in the season, at the season's end, Spencer Massey was fired due to losing their sponsorship in Fram and Prestone because of them being bought out. Now, he's been hired back, and that third place finishing team will be back together for the 2013 season. And he's going to sponsor this car with his own money, Schumacher Electric Corp. So this is great. It's great for Spencer because he's a great driver. He really shouldn't be out of a ride. I'm sorry that he does work for Don Schumacher because I really don't like the guy. But he's going to be back in the car, and they're going to have a 3-team race again. And I see that this is going to be the same way that it was last year. Those 3 cars are going to be very stout. You have the reigning champion and Antron Brown. Then you have Tony Schumacher, who is always right there at the end. And Spencer was really coming on. They kind of slipped up right down at the end there. But that team is going to be very strong in Top Fuel. And if they can keep it going and get some major sponsorship to help them out later on in the season, they're going to be around and going to be strong for years to come. Quote from Don Schumacher: he did not want to see 10 folks out of work. And I'm happy about that. There's no reason to have Don Schumacher make a ill-advised decision and then have 10 people that he throws out there and contribute to this mass market of people being out of work. So thanks, Don Schumacher. And he has a heart. Well, that's our show, and thank you for tuning in. Again, as we always ask, leave your comments, your likes, and your dislikes. We ask that if you have any topics or anything you'd like to see on this show, email them to straightshootingst@gmail.com. And as always, subscribe to the show. It's a great show, and you want to be here from the beginning. So subscribe. Again, you've been watching Straight Shooting Sports Talk.